And we're live.
And we're live to talk about the biggest news of the day. Harrison Wynn's latest article on the DNVR.com. Welcome in to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
Oh, man. And we're hanging out in the Toyota Lounge.
Yes, we are.
Because we're driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota's the official vehicle of DNVR. If you didn't know, now you know. Catch up, folks. Catch up. You can hang out in the chat. We might even bring up your comments in the Toyota chat. So we appreciate all of you hanging out today. I've got a fun cast here. I think a fun show. You never know until it starts, but you know, I think I've got the personnel that I need.
Don't put pressure on me.
No, on the end there, Harrison Wynn.
You know, we come on this show every day to talk about the most pressing issues and the hottest topics in the country and the world.
Yeah, I remember when you guys talked about P. Diddy.
Yeah, and that's why today's show is on the Denver Nuggets. That's what people want to hear. That's what people want to talk about. So that's what we're doing.
We're here to keep you up to date on everything that's important, and that's why we brought Superstar Dev back in, reinforcements for the offseason.
See, that's what I'm talking about. When I remember watching the Lakers. There was Kobe. He had number 8.
Yeah.
Then there was Shaquille O'Neal, number 34.
34.
34.
That was his number.
Some of your favorite players, huh?
I remember that.
Paul Pierce also.
34.
Yeah.
And
34.
joining us today is a very special guest, making another appearance, already regretting it. It's Matt Brooks from Nuggets.com. Matt, what's up, buddy?
I love watching Shaq and Paul Pierce. What do you mean? I don't.
2 Hall of Famers.
Matt's just a basketball
Yeah, I'm just a
appreciator.
basketball guy, I don't-
And we're going to tap into that actually later in the show. We've got some fun. Dev hasn't gotten a chance to be angry yet about the Nuggets, so if you thought we were going to move on, joke's on
Still
you.
pissed.
Then we're going to clear the air with what makes Matt Brooks happy, basketball style.
Really, all the emotions on this show. Today.
Yeah.
Sad, happy, angry.
Angry. And but first, I want to get desperate because Harrison Wynd, you took a lead from Ryan Blackburn a little bit, I think, and you took a look at some of the ring chaser options for the Denver Nuggets this offseason.
I did.
I know you put that up as well as some other pieces, some other lists up at the DNVR.com. But today, in segment 1, I want to walk through this ring chaser list. I want to figure out if any of these are feasible, any of these are appealing to anyone here on the panel, anyone in the chat. And so, Wynd, why don't you just take us through your list, man, what you were thinking and some of the names that you went right to.
Well, look, we were talking about on yesterday's show how the Nuggets might need to add a veteran this summer. Maybe they could target a ring chaser. There are a lot of those guys floating out there. And so I thought, hey, maybe I'll put together a list of 10 guys that would fit in the ring chaser category. To me, that's over 30 years old, and you could talk yourselves into them getting a minimum deal or maybe slightly above the minimum.
I like that. So 30 is kind of your cutoff here.
Yeah,
for
34 is usually mine.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I did put a list of guys together. I don't know if any of them are going to come to the Nuggets, but I thought it was a decent group to talk about. And we can start with the guy that gets everybody going, Gary Harris. And look, man, Gary Harris, I don't know what his market's going to look like this summer. He's coming off a pretty decent season with Orlando. You have the injury concerns, of course. You also wonder if the Magic want to go a different direction with just kind of their young team and, you know, the young guys they have in their backcourt especially. And Gary Harris on a minimum seems kind of cheap. I feel like he could get more than that for sure. But he'd be a nice veteran piece to add to the backcourt coming off the bench or starting if KCP leaves.
Dev, Gary Harris has been an ex that the fans want to reunite with since the day he left. A Mr. Nugget for Mr. Nugget trade. What's your initial reaction to Wynn's suggestion or possibility? I should say.
I mean, I liked when Gary was here, but it was just he left a lot to be desired, especially just because of. I mean, he had to play a lot of minutes. Now he's a vet. It looks a little bit different, but he was a guy that brought all the young guys under him. So like he has been a vet in a different way. He was the original Mr. Nugget.
Yep.
You'll be bringing that back. With that, I think comes the vibes. And a different expectation from him. So I really do like the Gary Harris piece. They've had vets on the team last year that didn't even actually get to play or didn't play meaningful minutes. he's going to be a vet and he's actually going to be able to play. He gets a chance to start at different times. And I think that it could go a long run. So I do like the Gary Harris call. I do.
Matt, you got here, I think, maybe after the Garrison kind of, sort of where the Thunder are now. Denver was in this stage where we were all falling in love with the key players, the future, the possibility.
Yeah.
And Gary Harris, 2017 especially, was a big part of it. I'm curious with, you probably don't have that perspective on him. What do you think about Gary Harris at age 30 at this stage in his career?
I mean, I think anytime you can get somebody even just like playable on the vet min, that's a win. So like if you feel like there's even a semblance of a chance of somebody being like a contributor and you can get them for what, like $1.5 million to $3 million, like that's worth it in itself. Like I mean Justin Holiday last year, like that's like really high end for like what a vet min will give you. Like a guy that can come in the playoffs and like give you 10, 15 minutes. That's huge. Like most of the time it doesn't work out. Like look what happened with the Suns last year. They get all these vet min guys. I liked a bunch of them and like pretty much none of them worked out. So it's like, yeah, anytime you can get somebody where you feel like, oh yeah, he had good spots last year with Orlando, I think that's a win, like without a doubt. And it's a position that, that wing position, kind of a guy that can fit in with so many different lineups. If he, pans out, if things work out well, like that's a pretty obvious win, I think, for sure.
The only thing with Gary for me is offensively, he's just fallen off a cliff. I mean, there are moments and spots on the floor where he's a capable spot-up shooter still and maybe a bit underrated, even because he had some rough years. But he's almost entirely a defensive piece now. And he had a lot of it in Orlando, I thought. But
I don't know, bro. 37% from three.
Yeah, I was going to say. Pretty
43% from three last year.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
He can shoot that thing
Like I
still.
said, the spot up shooting's still there. I just don't. I guess I'm thinking of Gary's tail end in Denver. I'm thinking of the way that he had all these tools, and then he seemingly lost tools with each passing year.
I mean, he lost the tools with the injuries too. That zapped a lot of his
lower body
juice on offense.
I don't know who else is on this list, but the only thing that
It doesn't get much better.
the thing that gives me hesitation about like bringing a Gary Harris back is like what it means to others on the team. So if you bring back a Gary Harris, that maybe means that you don't have KCP anymore. So that is clearly an issue if you lose KCP. But also it takes away from the other guys, because if I had to go through like the list of people, you need another ball handler. Gary Harris doesn't bring you that. You need a backup center. You need other pieces that Gary Harris doesn't bring. You're going to take away from Christian Brown. You're going to take away from Peyton Watts and what they mean if you bring in a Gary Harris. I do think that he adds to those type of players, but those minutes are going to go away. So I don't like that part of bringing KCP back.
Also, you're kind of hopeful, especially if you're Calvin Booth, that it's a Christian Brown, Julian Strawther year. So again, we're just talking about minimum ring chasing. Like, think about Justin. You could help out here maybe and not necessarily play every day. But then there's always this thing with Malone. And I don't necessarily mean this to be like some huge criticism. It's just the way that it is. Like, he's going to be tempted to play that guy, I think.
Look, man, the whole Nuggets offseason is going to be determined by what happens with KCP. So a lot of this stuff is just kind of a moot point talking about it now. But KCP's back. It brings a lot of clarity to the Nuggets and what they would look for in a minimum guy. If he's not back, it brings clarity as well. And then my next guy, we talked about him a little yesterday, is Gordon Hayward. And I've heard there's people within the Nuggets who like Hayward. Minimum, I don't know. Not a great end to his season. He played decent for OKC in the regular season, but then fell off a cliff in the playoffs. Somehow he didn't score a point in 43 playoff minutes for the Thunder across 2 series.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. But, I mean, he's a rotation guy, I think, at this point. So if you could get him, I think great. And then another guy, third on my list, Kevin Love, who, if I had to bet, returns to Miami, but he's got a player option, and I mean, he'd clear up a lot of the rebounding issues on the second unit.
Matt, real quickly, I want to go to you on Gordon Hayward, because some of the public noise now with he and his wife on Instagram and stuff is that they hated that trade from the get-go. They never thought there was a role or a fit for him. Is Hayward a kind of guy you could lure simply by saying, like, hey, man, here's our plan. you
Right.
might play here, like kind of like the way you
Right.
talked to Justin Holiday.
He might be too good for that, though.
Yeah, he might be. He might still be. But I guess if you could be like, hey man, you can take shots off this bench, is that enough to entice him?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think in general with like building out a roster, you can use like non-guaranteed deals. Like plenty of teams have done that where they'll like sign a vet, and it's like, hey, your guarantee date is like some point in December, and that gives you like all of training camp, first 2 months to like figure things out. And like I think those first 2 months, if you have all your young guys, but also a couple vets on these like, let's say non-guaranteed deals, or even if they are on guaranteed deals, like you have more of a pot to pick from, I guess, in a sense. And that's helpful if you feel like, all right, we got Gordon Hayward here. I don't know if you could give him a non-guaranteed deal. I think that's kind of crazy. I think he's got too much pedigree, but maybe somebody different where it's like you give this guy a non-guaranteed deal and you're like, ooh, we kind of like what we saw in these first 2 months of the season. Now we're going to give him a fully guaranteed deal, and we go into the playoffs. And look, series asked for different things. Christian Brown was like super important in round 2, like very, very important. And round 1 maybe wasn't a series as much for him. And that's like a guy that's like cemented in your 6-man rotation.
Right.
So like going even further than that, like you're obviously going to have like guys that are going to be more important in certain series and not as important in other series. So I don't think it hurts ever to like have competition, I guess, a little bit within your rotation. Not only to like bring the best out of guys, but also just gives you more things to pick from.
Dev, I'll go to you for Kevin Love, a guy long targeted in like just these kind of conversations I shouldn't even say targeted, rumor associated to Denver, really since the day I got here. Any juice left for you with Kevin Love and what he could contribute to a contender?
I think both of those guys are like perfect for Denver. But I think that they're too good to go to, to Denver.
Yeah.
Like I think that they just have a lot more in their tank than a vet minimum on Denver's team. Kevin Love would be a perfect backup. Power forward, perfect backup center. He's a great passer. Like he gives you a lot of those Jokic type of plays, but he can shoot the ball still. He's a real vet, like in every sense of it. He's been around. He's been a champion. He knows what it looks like to play with some of the best there are. He has that Heat pedigree. Like he does a lot for it. And I mean, he's been rumored to come to Denver forever. So like even if they don't get him now, maybe he's going to be on the coaching staff or something. Like, he's going to become a Denver Nugget.
He's probably got a house
He's
here.
always been a Denver Nugget.
Yeah.
So like I mean, I think that's perfect. As far as Gordon Hayward, how things panned out for him, like it sucked for him, but for any other team, any contender, this is the perfect and prime spot for Gordon Hayward because he has a lot left in the tank. It didn't work there. Which is shocking because the vibes seemed so up there. That was like the one spot that looked bad for Oklahoma City. But you just throw an old guy, like with all those young guys. It really was never a fit. So like it doesn't shock me that it didn't work there. But if you're Gordon Hayward, you look at this Denver Nugget team and say, hey, Michael Porter, played not so great down the stretch. They let Justin Holiday play a lot of minutes and show what he had left in the tank. I would look at it the same way that like Torrey Craig looked at it, or Monte Morris, looked at like when they got their chance. Like, hey, Denver gives guys opportunities to like make something of themselves.
Yeah,
Bruce Brown, got to go get paid. Gary Harris got to go get paid. So like you look at this fit and say, hey, if Justin Holiday can play, and he played extremely well, Gordon Hayward is better than Justin Holiday. So he's going to get those type of minutes and be able to get a real crack at the rotation.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to go to Denver if I was him.
When I know it's a little pipe dreamy, some of these guys, you're just kind of considering potential options. But if you had a minimum contract genie grant you a wish here, who's your top choice from the list?
Out of the 3 we just mentioned?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Gary Harris, Gordon Hayward, Kevin Love. I'd probably say Hayward.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's the most... I mean, it's tough, man. They'd all be good. Love would shore up a lot of your front court issues. He's probably got the least left in the tank out of all 3 of these guys, though. I mean, Hayward or Harris would definitely be playoff guys. Gary Harris just averaged 20-plus minutes in the playoffs for the Magic. I'd probably go Gary.
That's fun, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's hit a break, and if you want, we can maybe check some other names in the list or move on to Dev's list because we haven't heard from Dev
I
in a
mean, the
minute.
list doesn't get any better.
Okay, cool. So we'll go to Dev.
Jay Crowder.
I mean, he's good.
He's more realistic for a vet min.
You know what I think Jay Crowder is? A good segue into an ad break.
Okay. All right. Guys, Shady Rays, it's the summer. Sun's out. You need your Shady Rays. You can go to shadyrays.com, browse their whole selection. They got a style, a color, a type of sunglass for everybody. Shady Rays, I've got like 3 pairs of them now just because they keep giving them to us, but I love them. 5 stars by over 300,000 people. That's what they've been rated. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They probably have a style in your team's favorite colors, Nuggets, Avs, Broncos, whatever it might be. Hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Check out shadyrays.com. You can use the code DNVR. 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Exclusively for our listeners. 35% off polarized sunglasses with the code DNVR. Again, rated 5 stars by 300,000 people.
If you want, you could combine these reads here and stack up on DNVR Nuggets deals. You could take those Shady Rays out to Stadium Swim in the desert, baby. Our home away from home in Las Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino. You can use code DNVR20 at checkout for 20% off, and you'll be getting 20% off. Quite the experience. Circa Resort and Casino is Vegas' first ever adults-only casino resort. You don't want kids around in Vegas, man. It's ridiculous. It's like having your grandparents around at a high school party. You know what I mean? It's just, this is off. Wires are crossed. So I like to go to Circa. Shorter lines. They're not checking IDs because you didn't get in the door if you're not 21. It's also got the world's largest sports book, huge casino, and yeah, Stadium Swim, which is a 4,000 person capacity pool, not necessarily filled with 4,000 people at a time, but it could fit it. Open 365 days a year, 6 pools, 2 spas, a massive multi-TV screen where you can watch your favorite teams, you can watch your favorite bets play out that you just placed at their casino. Do yourself a favor if you're headed out to the desert. Experience Stadium Swim. Watch your favorite teams at Circa Resort and Casino. Book your stay with code DNVR20 for 20% off.
You going to Vegas Summer League, Matt?
So,
Yeah.
think so. First week.
Dude,
Nice.
we're going to hang out a lot.
Yeah,
just
we'll
so you
I'll
know.
see you on
Okay,
Fremont
good.
Street.
There you go.
Usually what happens is
I don't go to the Strip anymore. Just Fremont Street.
we're Fremont people.
Yeah, who goes to the Strip?
Also, they only give outlets so many credentials, so Dev and I just get drunk on the concourse. We just drink frozen smoothies.
I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome. Speaking of Dev, Dev hasn't been here for any of these off-season shows because he's got another job or whatever, or he just doesn't really want to spend much time around us.
It's a mixture.
Hard to say what it is. But Dev has not gotten a chance to rant, and he has not gotten a chance to find closure. So I apologize if you thought this would be a turn the page show. We're turning the page back. Dev, you're watching the Mavs. You're watching the Wolves. And I know you're fired up. I know you're pissed.
Fucking Wolves.
Why are you still angry, Dev?
Matt, I'm pissed. I'm so pissed. There's just the way that it played out. Like, of course, the Nuggets just went out. They went down bad. Like, that was just not the way that the defending champions should have gone. So what I did is I came up with a list of things that I'm still pissed about. Things that I still think about every day before I go to bed. I just think about these type of things.
Right before bed?
Right before bed.
Gotcha.
And usually when I'm like up watching shows. Kel, what's first up on the list?
The hunter versus the hunted
pissed about
mentality.
this.
God,
too,
I
man.
knew that this was going to get Harrison pissed off. I already knew that this was going to irritate you. What is it that makes you mad about it?
If anybody says hunter or hunted next season, I'm walking out of the room.
Yeah, see.
I'm going to start saying that about myself.
I'm done with it. I can't take it anymore, man. Yeah, we know you were the hunter last year. We know you were the hunted this year. Stop saying it.
Just stop
I'm
saying
done
it.
with it.
I love when you can tell that, no, don't show Matt for this segment. Don't show Matt. Just kidding. I love when you can tell that a company memo has been passed around, you know? Like, just like what the
Bro.
buzzwords are that everyone's
Oh,
using.
man.
And you're
That's
like,
all
right.
they talk about. But, like, the thing is, for the entire season, all they talked about was still wanting to be the hunters.
I know.
Even
And then
though
they
that they
never-
were being
then they
hunted,
never were the
and
hunters.
they never got to be the hunters. Also, how do you become, like, I don't know how that would change your mindset of, like, the season. if you just won a championship, you should be addicted to that feeling of
Chris Paul
still
was.
going after people. He was addicted. Chris Paul,
To the
he never
finals.
even got
Addicted,
there. And
yeah.
He still was addicted to it. But like just being there, being at the top of the totem pole, like you want people to go after you. You want people to give, their best push at you because you are the best team. So like, what would make you comfortable in that? So like, I really do hate that mindset of we just weren't motivated. You're the defending champions. You should be motivated. This is a team that just beat you. Of course, they're going to give you that you just beat. Of course, they're going to give you their best punch. So like, you should be ready for that. And I feel like throughout the whole season, they did not have that type of mindset. I think that, they won the most games that they have, but also
57.
they should have been further. Like you should have gotten further with that. You should have wanted to go after that. You should have remembered those wins like a Boston and said, like, that's who we are. That's who we want to be. So, like, this whole mindset of, like, we're not the hunter anymore. We're being hunted by everybody. You should every single year. Even when you're not the champions, you still need to be in that mindset. So that pissed me off.
Matt, different angle on the same topic. Do you expect them to get back to the hunter mindset next year?
Yeah, I think so. I think part of it is just your teams are scouting you more. Like, I'm not to go too into it, but like teams are like, you win and everybody's like, all right, how do we beat this team? Right? Like every team starts loading up on sides. Like even the Mavericks, like they added all these bigs and stuff
Right.
like that. They did that likely because they thought they were going to run into the Nuggets.
Sure.
And, it's worked out well for them against Minnesota so far. But yeah, I think, I'm actually really curious to see who wins. Like if it's Boston, like what does that look like next year? What is every team trying to build? Are they trying to build for a bunch of wings, like star wings? Or if it's Dallas, like are you trying to find like a big defender who can guard Luka? Like it kind of changes every year. It's a really reactionary league. So I almost think that's what that refers to a little bit is like being the hunted literally means like teams are going to, we saw with Minnesota, like they're going to build their team to
Right.
specifically try to beat you.
I think it's a great point, man. Like if Dallas wins, you got to think teams are going to be trying to find, the next Aaron Gordon type of defender
Yeah,
to
Luka
stop
stopper.
Luka.
Yep.
Right.
They're going to try to find a guy to stop Kyrie and like load up on those types of guys and, defending that pick and roll. I 100% agree. It's a very reactionary league, and that's the direction it's going to go.
That's all reasonable, fellas. That's all measured. I don't want measured. I want anger. What do you got, Dev? What else is on this
What's
list?
next up on this list that I'm still pissed about? The free-flowing offense.
What?
Yes, man, this has pissed me off too. When I watch these teams like Boston and I watch like Dallas, especially Dallas, even Minnesota at times, I don't like the fact that Denver got back. Like, again, it's complacency. They went to that pick and roll offense a bit too much, and it became the focal point of how to stop them. It becomes easy to slow down a team when Jamal's not playing his best and then they're doubling up on Jokic. I think that if there was more free-flowing offense, if there was more guys that just got the green light at times, it would have been easier. It would have been tougher to stop them. It would have been easier for Denver to get in their sets and just go. And I feel like they had that last year. Bruce Brown brought a lot of that. You didn't know what to expect when Bruce Brown was out there. He was just this live wire that just got to do everything. But then it made everybody else start stepping out. Aaron Gordon got to explore his game. KCP is knocking down three-pointers. He did a little bit more of getting to the rim. But also, like, everybody just got to get more free. And I think that when Jamal was not playing to his best, there were times that you got to go to Michael Porter Jr., but then it just still became pick and roll with Michael Porter Jr. now. So, like, that was all the offense is doing that. Now we're seeing guys like Jaden McDaniels knocking down threes and getting free-flowing offense. We see young guys on the Mavericks that wouldn't be playing with anybody else that are actually being able to shoot the ball and nobody's pissed off. Kyrie Irving goes whenever he wants to. Luka does whatever the hell in the world he wants to. He shoots a half-court shot with 24 still on the shot clock. It doesn't matter, but it's just free-flowing, and that's fun basketball. We didn't get to see that this year with Denver. I didn't remember saying much of, like, the beautiful game. When's the last
that's a
time you
great
said
one.
that? That used to be your thing. You didn't see much of that this year.
It's a great
so
one, Dev.
that pissed me off that Denver started getting – it was easy to scout that type of team.
The offense feels a little stale.
It does.
Very good, but a little stale.
I'm very, very curious to see the rest of your list. First, let's do another break, shall we?
Wow, already. Okay.
Was it fast? Yeah. Am I too fast?
You're too fast.
I'll get it down eventually. Let's not do a break. Dev, what's next on your list?
Youth development. Oh, I'm fucking mad. Everybody knows that you got to be mad about this.
Is this what you've been doing the last couple weeks since the season ended?
This is just me just thinking about this on the toilet this morning.
Okay.
I had to remember about things I was pissed off.
Love that.
Vote sent a message and said, hey, what are some things that you're pissed off about? I got you.
Taxes.
Right then and there. I got you. The number 34.
Okay.
The youth, so this one is in a way, there's been a lot of conversation about Michael Malone versus Calvin Booth and going young versus the vets and keeping that, type of team. And with that, you have to, there has to be a middle ground. They drafted young. So if you draft young, not only did they bring those guys in from the draft, they used all 3 picks, they put them on the actual roster. That was wild to me. That was a bit shocking. So you were hey, they're gonna have to play these guys. You have Pickett, you have Strother, you have Hunter Tyson. Those guys are not just G League guys, they're on the real roster. If you're gonna go with the youth, with youth, let them play. Give them a chance to see what it looks like if that's what you're going to go with. If not, then you messed up when you didn't just go with vet minimums, guys that are going to be able to play and they know what they're doing. But since you drafted, go with that. Have these guys play. We didn't get to see any of them in their real light. Jalen Pickett didn't get to play at all. Strother got to play at random times, then he got hurt. Hunter Tyson, he wasn't even on the team at this point. Colin Gillespie played more than him. And that just doesn't make sense that a guy on a 2-way contract that's not part of your playoffs can't play. And then we go into a playoff run, none of them got to play. Then you have Peyton Watson and Christian Brown. Christian Brown already showed that he's supposed to be a part of this team. He got to play. Peyton Watson didn't. And this is a guy that's supposed to be a part of your future. This was a huge year of him learning Nuggets basketball, both offensively and defensively. None of them got a rhythm. A lot of them got out of their rhythm, so now we got to see Christian Brown not be an offensive player. Peyton Watson seems very limited in his offense, but we don't know because we didn't get to actually see it. We got to see him play defense, and then at various times, and then they go a whole year with Justin Holiday not really playing, and then has a real role in the playoffs. That just doesn't make sense. So it's about the youth, get guys better. None of the guys that have been playing. None of those guys that are playing are better.
But Matt,
you got to be pissed.
I'm getting mad.
Matt, let's look ahead then briefly. Julian Strother was just a guy that was mentioned. Do you expect Julian Strother to factor much more heavily into next year's rotation and potentially outcome?
Yeah, I think they wanted to play him, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was the biggest thing that happened is he had that knee injury, right? And then that just kind of ends, his kind of effectively ended his year. He had little spurts after that, but I felt like he was pretty in Malone's trust circle, even if I
do too.
The numbers didn't reflect it. The way they would run specific sets for him, they'd run Malone would always say it after, in post game pressers, oh yeah, we ran this ATO for
him
for Strother.
I agree.
I'm that's pretty wild to do. I mean, I get it. He's a movement shooter. He's really good at catching, turning, squaring up, and getting a shot off quickly. So it makes sense why you do it, but. It sucks. I think that was one of him and Vlatko were the 2 big turning points where I'm those are just poorly timed injuries for guys that are pretty Vlatko obviously will factor in because he's been there for a while and he played before I was there, but played a little bit in the season before and season before that.
Previous guest on this show too.
Yeah. There you go, front of the show. And then Strother, it really felt like that role was sitting there for him, and he had a couple performances that game against. The Pelicans comes to mind where he just I think he had 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was a big turning point, I think, in a way for that season. And I do expect him to kind of factor in a little bit more.
I'm sensing some Strother hype just after the season and
there's
heading into the summer. I gotta think they want him to take a big leap. And they will probably need him to if they're planning on kind of running it back, especially with the bench. You just need an offensive guy off the bench, and he's the best option for it right now.
I agree. I think right now we actually do need an ad break. I think I got it right this time. Did I? Let's go, man. Dude, it's about learning and adapting. You know what I mean? Guys don't win titles before they're 28. I'm not going to be a good host before I'm 31. That's tough. All right,
guys,
go ahead,
check out Underdog Fantasy. you can hit the QR code right there on the screen. From now until June 2nd, they have a Caitlin Clark all-in WNBA entry for a 10% payout boost for every 3 she hits that night. Your boost increases by 3%, so you can get in on that. You can also play their pick'em game. It's as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. You can make entries in basketball, hockey, mix and match across your other favorite sports as well. You can win up to 100 times your money. It's a ton of fun. Check out Underdog Fantasy. We play it all the time, especially during the watch-alongs during the playoffs. You can sign up today with promo code DNVR. Claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to a $250 bonus in cash to use on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy with the code DNVR. You can scan the QR code right there on the screen. You can click the link in the description to sign up today as well. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ncpgambling.org. Again, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever sport you want to play, Underdog Fantasy has you. Also, check out Raising Cane's. Have you checked out Raising Cane's recently?
Absolutely. Of course I have.
That was a stupid question on
I'm
my
human.
part.
Yeah, come on, dude, grow up.
You can make a pit stop at Raising Cane's for hand-battered chicken fingers. They always have cooked-to-order delicious options just for you. They've got their crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast. Don't forget the creamy coleslaw and the secret Cane's sauce. Is it really secret?
It is. Yeah, we don't know what the ingredients are. It's kind of like Plankton. He wants to know what the ingredients are, but no
That's
one
right,
ever gives it to him.
That's a good reference, Jeff.
You can find your local Raising Cane's location or order on mobile or online for cooked-to-order hand-battered chicken fingers. Race into Raising Cane's. Turbocharge your chicken fingers and get them even faster by ordering online, raisingcanes.com, or through their mobile app, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
All right, man. Let's hear some more hot fire from Superstar Deb.
What are you mad about, Dev?
Before our special guest clears the air and changes the vibes.
What else can see? What can piss me off? What's next up on the list?
Basketball
off
related,
here.
just so we're clear, because
Yeah,
I don't want.
I was gonna.
Don't have too
It was
much
gonna
time.
be family and everything.
Yeah.
Ant feeling good enough to get comped to Michael Jordan. Not Michael B.
pissed off.
Jordan. Michael Jordan. Number 23 for the Bulls. All you gotta do is kind of look like a guy. The numbers weren't there.
Trust me, I get this a lot, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, where did this come from?
Yeah.
This one pisses me off so much because Anthony Edwards, he puts together these horrible stretches that Michael Jordan never did, but we're going to act like he's the baddest. He's a badass. He gets to do whatever he wants, all because he has a team that he gets to take every shot on and do all these things. But you want to know why this really pisses me off even more?
Why is that?
Because the one thing that Anthony Edwards does that Nikola Jokic doesn't do, he's a shit talker. That's why this pisses me off. If Nikola Jokic was a shit talker, he would be Luka Doncic. Like, they would look at him
He'd
in
be
the
Larry
same
Bird
light.
for
He
real.
would be Larry Bird
Yeah.
for real. Anthony Edwards, he gets to be himself. He's like his authentic self. He wants to trash talking, and everybody loves it. If Jokic did that one time, if he did it a few times, like, everybody remembers the Rudy Gobert, like, I have 47 on you, but that's shit talking, but it's still calculated. Like, it's really calm.
That
Yeah.
was shit talking, but that wasn't to Gobert. That wasn't even supposed to get out.
Yeah, and also Jamal told the story.
Yeah.
But what if Jokic went and did it? Like, he needs to do more of what Anthony Edwards is doing. Anthony Edwards, like, he gives Jokic the flowers, but if he was to take it away, like, I don't give a fuck what Anthony Edwards say, what would we be saying about Jokic? Like, you're the best player in the world, act like it. You know, treat like, because then everybody else follows that. You'll get to see a angry Aaron Gordon. You'll get to see a Jamal Murray that, you know, goes and does all these numbers. Jamal Murray had a crazier run than this Anthony Edwards run in the bubble. He doesn't get to be Michael Jordan. We saw Donovan Mitchell have a better run than this.
That's true.
He doesn't get to be Michael Jordan, but it's because he's a shit talker that it looks different. So, like, this one is not even an Anthony Edwards one. This is a Jokic. I want him to be that guy that can just say what he feels.
It is fun watching him run into Luka, who's just the most, like, aware of what could be memed. You know, when you're sitting there with your hands on your knees and he just stands right next to you and looks at you. It's like it's a fun matchup of ego, I think.
And he loves it. And also, you get to see his team rally behind that. When Luka starts shit talking, we now see Kyrie Irving shit talking. PJ Washington feels like he can say, like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes people that are not supposed to be that. Who just went at Anthony Edwards in the last game? They had a shit talking back and forth after he scored on them a few times. Those are guys that just should never speak to you, but they feel like you can because, hey, my guy is better than your guy, and he's going to do that. I wish that Jokic had more of that because I think it would lead to everybody else being that. That one pisses me off.
I kind of agree, except that I feel like I have such a consequentialist perspective on Jokic's approach to this stuff. Like when they win, I'm like, I love the way that he's indifferent and a breath of fresh air. And when they lose, it's always about like, what is he missing? You know?
I don't want that. Because also, like, that becomes the conversation. Right now, it's Jokic doesn't care about basketball. How does the guy that's the best in the entire world at this sport that everybody loves not care? He clearly fucking cares. He's working on his game more than everyone. He understands the game in different ways. That's not just natural. He's putting in the work for that. So, I mean, if he like just went and said like, yeah, I care about it more than anything else, and that's why I'm better than everyone, we would love that. I just think that I wanted more of that. I want more of Jokic being that type of guy. Because then I think it unleashes like the Christian Brown from college. It unleashes Jamal Murray for 50 and being able to talk shit to everybody. Because he has that in him. And Bruce Brown had a lot of that in him. We got to see Paul Millsap have his moments of having that. We didn't even get to see those type of moments in the series against Minnesota where we're seeing in these other series that people hate each other. I don't feel like the Nuggets hated Minnesota.
They weren't the hunter anymore.
The only moment we have is Jokic asking Anthony Edwards after why he did that. No, like, fight, talk shit, like, get a text, get kicked out of games. Like, I want more of that. That pisses me off.
All right, man, land the plane. You got one more, dude. People think you're on a roll. What do you got for us here to finish off the list?
Let me see what's number one on this list. Jamal Murray being out of shape.
Damn.
This motherfucker.
Wow.
This one pisses me off. You're not Taylor Horton Tucker. You are Jamal Murray.
Shout out.
You are, you know what I mean? You're on a max contract. You are the guy. You're a guy that's been known to be the best player. You've been known to be Michael Jordan in the playoffs when it counts. And for him to look mortal, like that was shocking to not just us, but like the world. Everybody expected him to be different. Everybody expected him to have an elevated game. And I do think that we were a bit harsh on him this year. It's a long year, and like, I mean, injuries happen, but we know what he can be. We know what those expectations look like. So when he was not that, it was shocking to his teammates, to everyone else that was like, okay, how do we pick this guy up? And I think that if he came in with a different approach throughout the season, if he was the one that was addicted to winning the way that he could have been a face of the league. He could have been an all-star this year. They gave him the face of like the shoe brand. Got to come out with his own shoe. He gets to be, you know, the guy that everybody's looking at. He gets to be Robin to Batman with Nikola Jokic. And he didn't come in with the mindset. And we saw that starting with like Olympics last year when he didn't play for Canada. Like he worked out and things like that, but didn't play because he was like trying to ramp himself back up into shape. Then the season starts, he looks out of shape. And then he just never worked himself back into that type of shape. And then it comes and it hurts, like to hunt you. That's how you get hurt. That's how you're not able to get back into it. And ultimately, I mean, they lost on his back of not being himself as a playoff riser. So, like, I mean, I think very highly of Jamal. I know that he's a competitor that's going to say, you know what? That's on me. I fucked up. Now I'm going to attack. So I'm ready to say it. It might be the year of Jamal.
No.
It might be the year of Jamal.
I'm not going to say
segment, it. Dude. What an unbelievable
I think that there's going to be some
it.
high expectations on himself because he knows what it will. I love the fact that Michael Malone and Calvin Booth and these other guys called him out.
Johnson.
They called him out because, I mean, he was not motivated. And that's a guy that is all pure motivation and that really like lives
so pissed
and
right
wants
now.
that. Like, you got to do better. Get back in shape. And I think that, I mean, we still be playing basketball right now if Jamal was Jamal. Get back to Jamal, baby.
Wow, man, hot fire. Hot fire. Is everyone ready for an e-brake turn to the left? Just a hard left turn.
I don't
from
know.
That,
I'm so pissed, man.
From that. We're going to have Matt Brooks talk us down now. And
I
I'm
gotta
not.
find that game where you like do the punching bag.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I gotta get on one of those right now.
You're pissed.
We're
Set
gonna
a
let
high
Matt
score.
cook now, but Matt, I don't want to put you in a tough spot of having to sugarcoat what was a tough ending to the season. So I'm gonna ask you, basketball wise, what makes you happy? Non-Denver Nuggets edition. We got what makes Dev angry. Matt, why don't you take us through what makes you happy,
waiting
buddy?
for this.
You're always a happy seeming guy.
Yeah, I like that.
What do you got for us?
Marijuana.
Kind
No.
That was a joke for his employer. Go ahead, Matt.
I like the parody, the NBA.
Oh,
I like
Wind
it.
hates
What?
it. Wind
I like
hates
it.
Let's go full shot.
I
I
like
hate parody.
I like it. Like it's fun. I think it's pretty enjoyable. Like just the fact that we have like the Mavs one game out of the finals, and let's say they get there. I don't know how they're gonna play, and I have no idea if they're gonna be back there next year. I kind of like it. I think we got, like for me, like when I was really watching basketball, like the height of when I really started watching right before I started working in it, was the year we got Golden State and Cleveland for 4 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't that fun after a while.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
I
I
agree,
get it.
yeah.
I understand like if Denver's the dynasty, like that's an ideal outcome. But outside of that, I kind of like the parity, honestly. Like I think it's pretty interesting.
I do too, actually.
To have different teams. Matchups are like so important in the playoffs. Just like the
I'm with you
fact
on this.
that Minnesota can push Denver the way they did and then be in a completely different spot where, hey, maybe our style of play, McDaniels being the defender that he is, like, isn't as important next round is like really, I don't know. It's just, I like it. I like it a lot. And I think the league's in a pretty good place just with everything that they've done. I might even like the salary cap rules
my
a little
God.
bit. I might do it. I
It's
don't
just
know.
crazy that the timing is that it's here in time to stamp
Look,
out Denver's run.
Matt's 100% right.
Denver's
Parody's
run.
awesome for
It's
the
cool.
league. The new CBA probably is going to lead to more parity, but it does suck that it came into play right when the Nuggets are trying to have a dynasty, and they can't keep all their starting five together. It's not like the Nuggets are trying to go out there and sign Kevin Durant after winning a championship. They're trying to keep their fifth best starter or fourth best starter.
There is a little bit of like, here come the restrictions just in time to rain on Denver's parade.
Oh, I know.
It
man.
is, yeah. It is
Yeah.
funny,
Adam
but you have to
Big
be
Market
creative.
Silver.
You have to be pretty creative to get around it. Also, I feel like if you're Denver and you look at this year, you're coming into next year. I guess if the Mavs come out, build a team that's sort of Mavs proof. But I don't know. I think they're a good team, but I think you kind of come in and just play the way you're playing and enhance everything that's surrounding your core
Totally.
five. I kind of like that. That's kind of nice that you don't have to be all right, we're the Houston Rockets and we're going to play this weird 3-point heavy basketball to beat this super team Golden State Warriors team. You can kind of play your brand, build the way you want to. You're going to see different teams succeed in a way.
Yeah.
Minnesota is such a different team than Denver. Dallas is such a different team than either of those two teams. Oklahoma City is a totally different team. They're a 5-out team. Everybody can shoot.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. I definitely appreciate when there's more I guess more theologies and philosophies.
I love this, dude.
For building a team. I just think that's cool, man.
Because do you
That's
guys
dope.
remember at the height of that Rockets Warriors thing, there was a little conversation about did basketball just get figured out?
Yeah,
Is
it's
basketball-
everybody needs to shoot,
And it
and
needs
it's
to just be
this
done
sucks.
this way. But then, Jokic comes in and is the best player in the world in a way we haven't seen maybe ever, but also in quite some time, like a playmaking center, and kind of changes the whole conversation again. And now you just talked about teams loading up to beat them. So I do agree that as long as greatness takes unique forms in best players, teams are never just going to be there's one way to build a team.
Yeah.
And I don't think basketball will ever be solved.
I think it's great for the league. I kind of like the Warriors Cavs classics.
That's
though.
That's a crazy.
I
take.
mean,
There's
that-
been staunch disagreement today. This is good.
I like that about the NBA. How the best team always seems to win, and you just had that what's even after a trilogy of whatever happens when you meet 4 times in a row.
It's just a series now.
It's
Right,
that stuff
Franchise.
I feel is etched way more into NBA history than the Bucks winning one, the Raptors winning one, maybe the Nuggets winning one. So I kind of like the classic matchups, and I mean that's how the NBA's always been defined. It feels like, for me at least.
No, it was a good one. I want to hear more from Matt, I think, first. Did I get it right, Cal? Yeah, I got it right, man. This is awesome. This is easy. Don't come back, Adam. Let's do another break wind.
Miller Lite, it is Miller time. Check out Miller Lite today, the best light beer out there. It's light beer I'm always drinking. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Great tasting, doesn't fill you up. They keep it simple. Undebatable quality. Miller Lite has great taste. Like I said, only 96 calories. It is the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling, only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. You can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. You can find it at the DNVR bar. They keep it simple and it tastes good. A lot of light beers out there, they don't taste like beer. They taste like water. Miller Lite tastes good and it doesn't fill you up. Times change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered to your door, visit MillerLite.com/DNVR. You don't even have to leave your house, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Also, shout out to our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. They're huge Denver sports supporters. They're huge DNVR supporters. If you were hanging around the bar during the playoff run, you probably saw them hanging out at the bar. They are Colorado's best estimators and contractors. Quick response time, decades of experience, quality materials. They'll give you a free no-obligation roof and property inspection and a free in-depth photo report for all inspections as well. It's hail season, so don't waste any time taking care of the issues on your roof that hail can show you before the big storm hits. They will give you a free upgrade to a hail impact resistant shingle when you do business with them. So hit up Red Hawk Roofing today. Decades of experience. They're the best roofers in town. Tell them DNVR sent you. And hey, talk Nuggets with them, talk Avs with them. They love talking Denver sports. They are Colorado's best estimators and contractors. Hit up Red Hawk Roofing today.
Welcome back into the Toyota Lounge, hanging out with Harrison Wynn, superstar Dev, and Matt Brooks of NBA.com. And Matt is in the middle of telling us what makes him happy. Not necessarily in life. It's we don't have that much time. We're sticking to basketball. You've made some good points already. Do you have any more before we get to winners and losers here?
Yeah. I'm pretty curious about, this is such a weird point, but I'm like really curious because there's always rule changes every year.
Yeah.
With officiating, stuff like that. Pretty curious what that looks like. And I kind of liked the way the second half of the season was officiated.
Prison ball. You like prison
I sort of
ball?
like it.
Yeah.
Are you going to go opposite direction?
No, it's better than the alternative.
I just hate, I tweeted this at some point. There's definitely somebody I was watching. But I hate the play where the offensive player just drives into the defender, no plan of scoring, no anything, falls backwards, gets to the line. Like, if we can just clean that up, and it's really apparent watching on TV. I can't imagine, and again, I know like officiating's hard, like you have to watch 30 different things, but like some of those are so blatant.
I agree.
That it's like, I think we can clean those up a little bit. It's like the take foul. Like, I think we can clean this up. It's low-hanging fruit. I kind of like it. I love, like, the offensive explosion was super fun. Really crazy to see teams put, like, 120 points, like, 120 offensive rating for a whole season. That's great. We can also scale it back, like, bring defense back in. So I grew up, like, you know, I'm 30, so I watched, like, games that were 90 to 88 for like a large period of my life.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go like that where there's no spacing and it's just two guys posting up on top of each other. But at the same time, I'm good with a little defense. Like, and I kind of feels like it's trending that way. Bunch of reports kind of throughout the year that indicated that. So,
Dev, do you think they're going to run it back at the start of the next season?
Yeah, I wish that they openly discussed that and then it became a year-long thing.
Yeah.
It was tough watching like the Pacers earlier in the year. Teams are putting up 130, 140 every single time that they play specific teams. And then those teams also are in the playoffs, and then now they don't get it. So now they're like wondering what changed. Like, it should have been like, hey, we're making this rule. This is what's going to be. And for the whole year, that's what we're looking at. Because now players are so advanced and, just so good offensively that you don't need all the theatrics. You don't need the extra play. The play now is way better than it was in the 90s as far as offensive talent and being able to score in different ways.
So
that you don't have to rely on just all those type of things and tricking the referees, because again, it's already a hard job.
Yeah.
But also like now it's tough to watch. We don't come to the games to watch free throws.
Right.
You want to see them play hard. And now you're getting to see a lot more playing hard. It felt like a playoff every single time that you got to watch, later in the year when you have to work for that. Because the play that I hate the most is when a guy feels that they were fouled and they just throw the ball up.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens.
Right.
And everybody just looks up because the ref's like, I'm not giving you that.
Right.
But it's because they still think that they're supposed to get those type of calls. If we get rid of those and just get back to playing hard the entire time, I think that that'd be a better, more people will watch.
And by the way, they did that. The league did that. I don't remember what year it was. I want to say it was maybe 21, 22. And they did that for the first month of the season.
Right.
And everybody was like, this is great.
And then they went away.
And then it went away. And it's like, all right, we're going to. But like, it's there. Like, those calls can be changed and they can not call them. And guys will adjust because they're best players in the world. But like, it was really fun to watch. Like, it was genuinely really fun to watch. And it was kind of disorienting for certain guys out there that are like, hey, like, I've lived off this shot. This is part of, like, whatever my offensive, like, I guess my arsenal, right? Is like that almost foul baiting. I don't know what else to call it.
That's what it is.
And removing that kind of like, it took a little bit away of their skill set. So
it'll make these
we've
guys
seen
better.
it before.
It'll make these guys better.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying to be like hater from Denver. Embiid is a good example, man. Like, Embiid is too talented to get to an end of a game in the playoffs and think, oh, I should try to draw fouls. You know?
Well, he's never had much success in the playoffs under any of the rules.
This is true.
Of officiating.
But I guess the point really being that there are just a lot of guys who have been conditioned as pros to play this way, been incentivized to play this way. And I do think we should get to a place where, like, if you just yell A and throw the ball up and fall over, you should kind of look like an idiot.
And why do you want, like, I get it, like, you obviously, certain things from regular season and postseason, like, they're going to be different. Like, it's just, you're not going to get, hey, we're going 110% on certain nights. Like, it's just impossible, especially if you're on a back-to-back, whatever. But, like, I will say, like, from an officiating standpoint, I'd want it to be pretty similar, so that it doesn't feel like this dramatic change of like, all right, this is called in the regular season, and then all of a sudden, it's the first round against so-and-so, and this call isn't happening anymore. I think that would be really weird and hard to like recalibrate almost.
Totally,
so I think it would improve the product in the regular season, and it would also like get guys more acclimated for, hey, this is how it's going to be in the postseason. I've seen it for 82 games, because we do it that way with pretty much everything else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there aren't that many big changes, but officiating is definitely one of them. So
yeah, it is about the consistency, because there really is that switch that comes into the playoffs, and like now you're not ready for it. Like, we'll take a guy like Embiid. He's smart enough to know that the refs are going to give it to me every night, so now that's what I'm going to do. It's not like he's not physically able to just run through guys and go and dunk the ball. But like now they've rewarded him so much that it's starting. It's easier for him to do that than run through guys and go and do that. So he will be dumb not to. And then you have a guy like LeBron James, he's having to run through guys to get that, because he's not getting those same type of calls. Jokic just having to, pound down there every single time because he's not getting those type of calls. And then there's like not the consistency on both sides that it becomes tough. And also as a defender, I think that it will be harder. How am I going to, go against Embiid one night and I'm able to, try to play freely, but I'm getting calls. And then the next night I could pound Lauri Markkanen and it doesn't matter. Like, I could just go at him the entire time.
Right.
So now it's hard as a defender, because now I find myself in foul trouble in a game that truly does matter. So yeah, I want them to just go back to like the consistency of, this is what we're calling. We're letting you guys play like a little bit tougher. We want to just see what this looks like, because like you said, there was a time that we went to it and we all remember that time, and then it went away.
It feels like there was a shared common belief among the big decision makers in the NBA, Adam Silver, his right-hand guys, that offense is what everybody wants, and that's going to lead to more viewership and more growth for the league. And I got to think a lot of that came and started to become like the consensus when Steph Curry was taking over the league. And I think people were right. But I feel like this product is way better than the product we had a couple years ago. And that's because I feel like people do like defense, and people do like how the game is being played right now. And I feel like maybe Adam Silver thought that as well, because it is kind of crazy and it kind of went underplayed how they just completely changed the rules halfway through the year. Like, that's wild. That's wild for a professional sport to do, even though it was the right decision.
Right.
Just to shadow change everything halfway through the year without telling anybody. And then being like, oh, yeah, like we kind of told our refs to start calling shit differently. But I feel like everybody's kind of coming around to it.
Sometimes when they announce these big changes, like you alluded to earlier, they do it for a month and then it goes away. I kind of thought, even though you're 100% right that it was bizarre and wild, a small part of me appreciated that they just kind of did it.
Yeah.
And there was no like statement and now players know and now you know how to manipulate it. Like, no, man. Like, it's just, we're calling it differently now. I just hope it stays that way. I'd love to hear more from Matt. Unfortunately,
we can hear more from Matt.
Okay.
Well, he gave us such good stuff that we're already at Super Chat hour. So let's get through some of these Super Chats. And then let's get out of here. What do you think? Cedric Exquisite. Gary, coming back would be nice. Matt, you should come to Vegas for Summer League. I live here too. P.S. Dev, quit being upset. We'll get him next year. I did ask him to be upset. It was
I'm
set.
still pissed off.
I want Dev to have this energy all summer.
Yeah.
I would just want you to be pissed off all summer.
And I'm not wearing a shirt, too. I'm just going to go into J.R. Smith type of summer.
Yeah, shorts only.
Brian Yee chiming in and chipping in to say, opinions on drafting Zach Edey to help spell Joker off the bench. I mean, he's big and plays aggressively in the paint, both as a scorer and rebounder. Wind, I know you love Zach Edey. What do you got?
Yeah, this is the 5th Super Chat on Zach Edey
That's
since
it?
the season ended.
That's
I
it?
think so, yeah. I don't know.
Where's he
Could
getting
Could
drafted?
he play 10 minutes?
Yeah, he's such a hard one to figure out. Like, he could be lottery and I wouldn't be.
Right.
There's going to be.
he's one of
I
those
think there's
guys.
going to be a team who takes a chance on him.
Me too.
Yeah, I do too.
Me too.
He's
I totally
being
do.
projected like later first round. I think there's going to be a team that talks themselves into him.
Yeah.
He's damn good, but he's damn slow.
And it's probably going to be the Phoenix Suns. If they don't take Bronny James.
So Wizard chiming
That's
in
my prediction.
to say, Wizard.
Oh, thanks, Wizard.
Shout out
The
Wizard.
Suns are the only team that's stupid enough to get played into taking Bronny James in the first round, and they might convince themselves to take Zach Edey too.
Juan Hernandez, not to be confused with Juan Chiron and Gomez. Is PJ Dozier signing to replace Reggie realistic, or would it even make sense?
I think no. He's not even the best player in his league. So why would you want him to come? Like, Reggie's better than PJ Dozier right now.
They also have a
I-
better version of PJ Dozier, and that's Christian Brown. They're
Oh.
pretty similar players.
Cedric chiming in again. That segment, Dev, you that guy, crazy ass mother effer, cat crying emoji, eyeball emoji, can't see the third one.
You
As
that
long
guy.
as you said that I'm that guy.
that guy.
Shrug.
I am that guy.
And Funky
Thanks, Zach.
Puma, $10 to say nice work this week. You guys are the real MVP of DNVR. I respectfully disagree
us
in one
three?
way.
Us three?
Us, I
Great,
think the
great work this week, Dev.
I think the real MVP is all of you in the chats and the friends we made along the way. Hey, great work, Matt. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Hey,
I
thanks,
always
guys.
appreciate it, dude. Thank you for hanging out in the chat again. We'll be live tomorrow for a casual Friday. No Adam again, so you'll just be hanging out with the ragtag crew. You know,
Should
the
we do a
island of
draft
misfit
tomorrow?
toys.
Should we do a
Let's do
snake
it.
draft?
Let's do
What
it.
if we drafted our guys without Adam?
Oh, perfect, because
Oh
we
my
wouldn't get
gosh.
to claim
What
it.
if
Well,
he
we should
missed
do-
out on the My Guys draft?
We should do a My Guys draft of Adam's guys.
Oh,
A
yeah.
My Guys draft of Adam's guys.
draft.
We could draft things Adam says on the
Brand
show.
Wagner, Josh Hart.
We'll figure
We
it out.
could just name the whole league.
We'll figure it out, but we will draft. We might even check in with D-Line, see what's been going on online.
Oh,
Should be
great.
fun. Thanks again for hanging. See you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.